Shri Guru Shri Yatha Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sya Shri Rupam Sakrajatam Sagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Rana Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shivashikam Vitam Sya Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnana Shalakaya Shakshuram Militam Yena Tasma Shri Gurave Namah Gurva Bhistam Sapurakam Gurganara Sesha Sambhushitam Chintya Samasta Veda Nipanam Shri Rupa Patanagam Govindabhidam Ujwalam Varatanum Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Vande Vishwagurun Shah Divyad Bhagavat Prem Novi Bijapradam Devam Divyatanam Suchanavaranam Balarka Chelanchitam Sandrananda Puram Sadekavaranam Vairagya Vidyambudim Sri Siddhanta Nidhim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Varam Vandaitam Shubharam Madeka Sharanam Nyashishvara Shedaram Manchakopatarubhyas Chakripasindubhyevacha Patitanam Pavenibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Goratavise Namah. So we're hearing from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami with translation and commentary by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupad. So now we're in Madhya-lila chapter 22, the process of devotional service. So start with now we read some of these essential practices, so I'll just go over them again, starting with verse number 114 was, I shall say something about the various practices of devotional service, which is expanded in so many ways. I wish to speak briefly of the essential practices. On the path of regular devotional service, one must observe the following items. One must accept a bona fide spiritual master. One must accept initiation from him. One must serve him. One must receive instructions from the spiritual master and make inquiries in order to learn devotional service. One must follow in the footsteps of the previous acharyas and follow the directions given by the spiritual master. The next steps are as follows. One should be prepared to give up everything for Krishna's satisfaction, and one should also accept everything for Krishna's satisfaction. One must live in a place where Krishna is present, a city like Vrindavan or Mathura or a Krishna temple. One should acquire a livelihood that is just sufficient to keep body and soul together. One must fast on the Ekadasi day. One should worship. One should worship daitri trees, banyan trees, cows, brahmanas, and devotees of Lord Vishnu. One should avoid offenses against devotional service and the holy name. So now I'll begin with verse number 118. Avaishnava Sangatyaga Bahu Sishyana Koriba Bahu Granta Kulabhyasa Vyakyana Bharjiva. The 12th item is to give up the company. The 12th item is to give up the company of non-devotees. One should not accept an unlimited number of disciples. One should not partially study many scriptures just to be able to give references and expand explanations. Vaishnava Sangatyaga Bahu Sishyana Koriva Bahu Granta Kulabhyasa Vyakyana Bharjiva Hanilabe Sama Shokadira Vasa Nahoiva Anya Deva Anya Shastra nindana koriva. The devotee should treat loss and gain equally. The devotee should not be overwhelmed by lamentation. The devotee should not worship demigods, nor should he disrespect them. Similarly, the devotee should not study or criticize other scriptures. Vishnu Vaishnava Ninda Gramya Bhartana Shuniva Pranima Matre Manovakye Udvegana Diva. The devotee should not hear Lord Vishnu or his devotees blaspheme. The devotee should avoid reading or hearing newspapers or mundane books that contain stories of love affairs between men and women or subjects palatable to the senses. Neither by mind nor words should the devotee cause anxiety to any living entity, regardless how insignificant he may be. The first 10 items are do's and the second 10 items are don'ts. Thus, the first 10 items give direct action and the second 10 items give indirect action, meaning you should avoid them. Shravana, Kirtana, Smaran, Pujana, Bandhana, Paricharya, Dasya, Sakya, Atmanivedana. After one is established in devotional service, the positive actions are hearing, chanting, remembering, worshipping, praying, serving, accepting servitorship, becoming a friend, and surrendering fully. So that's Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smarana, Pujana, Bandhana, Paricharya, Dasya, Sakya, Atmanivedana. Okay. Agrinitya Gita, Vigyapti, Dandavanati, Abhyutana, Anuvraja, Tirtha Grihegati. One should also dance before the deity, sing before the deity, open one's mind to the deity, offer obeisances to the deity, stand up before the deity and the spiritual master just to show them respect, follow the deity or the spiritual master and visit different places of pilgrimage or go see the deity in the temple. Parikrama stava pata japa sankirtan Dupamaya Gandha Mahaprashara Bhojana. One should circumambulate the temple, recite various prayers, chant softly, that means do japa, chant congregationally, that's sankirtan, smell the incense and flower garlands offered to the deity, and eat the remnants of food offered to the deity. Aratrika Mahotsava, Shimurti Darshan, Nijapriya Dana Jnana, Tariya Sevan. One should attend arti and festivals, see the deity, present what is very dear to oneself to the deity, meditate on the deity, and serve those related to the Lord. So let's see. Serve those related to the Time's up. Well. Tadiya Dulasi Vaishnava Mathura Bhagavat Echarira Seva Hoy Krishnera Abhimata. Tadiya means the Tulasi. Tadiya means the Tulasi leaves, the devotees of Krishna, the birthplace of Krishna, Mathura, in the Vedic literature Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna is very eager to see his devotees served Tulasi, Vaishnavas, Mathura, and Bhagavatam. Okay. So this was previous. I was looking at that. It said 27 to 30, and it said serve those related to the Lord. I thought, how does that become 27, 28, 29, 30? But here it goes on saying Tadiya, which is one word, means the Tulasi leaves, the devotees of Krishna, the birthplace of Krishna, Mathura, and the Vedic literature, Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna is very eager to see his devotees serve Tulasi, Vaishnavas, Mathura, and Bhagavatam. That means serve those related to the Lord, Tadiya. After item 26, meditation, the 27th is to serve Tulasi, the 28th is to serve the Vaishnava, the 29th is to live in Mathura, the birthplace of Lord Krishna, and the 20th is to read Srimad Bhagavatam regularly. Okay. Krishnarte, or also read Chaitanya Charitamrita regularly. Because in the introduction to Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Prabhupada says that the Chaitanya Charitamrita presents what is in the Srimad Bhagavatam percolated, made stronger. Krishnarte Akila Cheshta Tadkripa Valokan Janma Dinade Mahotsava Loya Bhaktigan. Also reminding everyone today is Gundicha Marjan. One should perform all endeavors for Krishna. One should look forward to his mercy. One should partake of various ceremonies with devotees, ceremonies like Lord Krishna's birthday or Ramachandra's birthday. Sarvarta Sharanapati Kartikari Brata Chatushashti Anga E Parama Mahatma. One should surrender to Krishna in all respects. One should observe particular vows like Kartik Vrata. These are some of the 64 important items of devotional service. Sadhusanga Nama Kirtan, Bhagavata Shravan, Mathura Basa, Shri Murtir, Shraddhaya Sevana. One should associate with devotees, chant the holy name of the Lord, hear Srimad Bhagavatam, reside in Mathura, or worship the deity with faith and veneration. So these are mentioned. You say, well, that's being repeated, but here in the next verse it will explain why. One should associate with devotees, chant the holy name of the Lord, hear Srimad Bhagavatam, reside at Mathura, and worship the deity with faith and veneration. Sakala sadhana shreshte pancha anga Krishna prema Maya a Panchara Alpasanga. These five items, these five limbs of devotional service are the best of all. Even a slight performance of these five awakens love for Krishna. Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur points out that there are 35 items up to the point of observing special vows in the month of Kartik. To these 35 items, another 4 are added, namely, marking tilak on different parts of the body, writing the names of the Lord all over the body, accepting the deity's garland, and accepting Charanamrita. These 4 items are understood to be included by Kaviraj Goswami within Archana worship of the deity. Although these items are not mentioned, Dhanyavad, you do the garlands today?
I'm going to do them today, yeah.
Okay, very good. Although these items are not mentioned here, they are to be added to the previous 35 items. Thus, the total number becomes 39. To these 39 should be added 5 others: association with devotees, chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, reading Srimad Bhagavatam regularly, residing in Mathura, the birthplace of Krishna, worshipping the deity with great respect and veneration. We're reading this. This is the purport of what we heard. The 39 items plus these 5 come to a total of 44. If we add the previous 20 items to these 44, the total number becomes 64. The 5 items mentioned above repeat previously mentioned items. In this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami states, Anganam Pancha Kasyasya Purva Viligitasya Cha Nikhila Shraistya Bodhyaya Punar Api Atra Shamsanam. The glorification of these 5 items, association with devotees, chanting the holy name, and so on, is to make known the complete superiority of these 5 practices of devotional service. The 64 items of devotional service include all the activities of the body, mind, and senses. Thus, the 64 items engage one in devotional service in all respects. Shraddha Visheshata Priti Srimurter Angri Sevane. With love and full faith, one should worship the lotus feet of the deity. Srimad Bhagavatartanam Asvado Rasikai Saha Sajati Tiya Shaye Snigde Sadho Sangha Swatobare. One should taste the meaning of Srimad Bhagavatam in the association of pure devotees, and one should associate with the devotees who are more advanced than oneself and who are endowed with a similar type of affection for the Lord. Nama Sankirtanam Shriman Mathura Mandale Stiti. One should congregationally chant the holy name of the Lord and reside in Vrindavan. Dura Hadbhuta Viryesmin Shraddha Durestu Panchake Yatra Swapopi Sambandha Sadhyam Bhava Janmane. The power of these 5 principles is very wonderful and difficult to understand. Even without faith in them, a person who is offenseless can awaken his dormant love of Krishna simply by being a little connected with him. Ek angas sare keho sare bahu anga nishta hoile upajai primara taranga. When one is firmly fixed in devotional service, whether he executes one or many processes of devotional service, the waves of love of Godhead will awaken. Ek ange siddhi paila bahu bhaktagan ambarishari bhaktera bahu anga saran. There are many devotees who execute only one of the 9 processes of devotional service. Nonetheless, they get ultimate success. Devotees like Maharaj Ambarish execute all 9 items, and they also get ultimate success. Shri Vishnu Shravane Parikshid Abhavad Vyasaki Kirtane Pralada Smarane Tad Angri Bhajane Lakshmi Pritu Pujane Akroras Tvabi Vandane Kapipatir Dasheta Saker Juna Sarvasvatma Nivedane Balir Abud Krishnaptir Ishambara. Maharaj Parikshit attained the highest perfection, shelter at Lord Krishna's lotus feet, simply by hearing about Lord Vishnu. Sukadeva Goswami attained perfection simply by reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. Prahlad Maharaj attained perfection by remembering the Lord. The goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, attained perfection by massaging the transcendental legs of Mahavishnu. Maharaj Prithu attained perfection by worshipping the deity. And Akrura attained perfection by offering prayers unto the Lord. Vajrangaji, Hanuman, attained perfection by rendering service to Lord Ramachandra. And Arjuna attained perfection simply by being Krishna's friend. Bali Maharaj attained perfection by dedicating everything to the lotus feet of Krishna. Savai mana Krishna padaravindayor vachamsi vaikunta gunanuvarnane karo harer mandira marjanadishu Shutim Chakara Chuta Satkatodai Mukunda Lingalaya Darshane Drisho Tadbritya Gatra Sparashenga Sanganam Granam Chatatpara Saroja Sorabe Srimatulasya Rasanam tadarpite pado harer chetra paranusarpane shira rishikesha parabi vandane kamam sha dashe tu kamakamyaya yatotama shloka janashraya rati. Maharaj Ambarish always engaged his mind at the lotus feet of Krishna. His words in describing the spiritual world and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His hands in cleansing and washing the Lord's temple. His ears in hearing topics about the Supreme Lord. His eyes in seeing the deity of Lord Krishna in the temple. His body in embracing Vaishnavas or touching their lotus feet. His nostrils in smelling the aroma of the tulsi leaves offered to Krishna's lotus feet. His tongue in tasting food offered to Krishna. His legs in going to places of pilgrimage like Vrindavan and Mathura or to the Lord's temple. His head in touching the lotus feet of the Lord and offering his obeisances, and his desires in serving the Lord faithfully. In this way, Maharaj Ambarish engaged his senses in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. As a result, he awakened his dormant loving propensity for the Lord's service. Kamatyaga Krishna Bhaje Shastra Agyamani Devarishi Pitradi Kera Kabu Nahir Rini. If a person gives up all material desires and completely engages in the transcendental loving service of Krishna, as enjoined in the revealed scriptures, he is never indebted to the demigods, sages, or forefathers. Devarshe bhutapta nrinam pitrinam nakinkaro nayam rinicha rajan sarvatmanaya sharanam sharanyam gatam kundam paririthyakartam. One who has given up all material duties and taken full shelter of the lotus feet of Mukunda, who gives shelter to all, is not indebted to the demigods, great sages, ordinary living beings, relatives, friends, mankind, or even his forefathers who have passed away. Bididharma Charibaje Krishna Racharana Nishida Papachare Tara Kabu Nahimana. Although the pure devotee does not follow the regulated principles of Varnashrama, He worships the lotus feet of Krishna. Therefore, he naturally has no tendency to commit sin. Anjanena hoy yadi pap upashtita Krishna tare shuddha kore na karaya prayaschita. If, however, a devotee accidentally becomes involved in a sinful activity, Krishna purifies him. He does not have to undergo the regulative form of atonement, which means prayaschita. He doesn't have to engage in all these forms of atonement. Swapada mulam bhajata priyasya chaitanya bhavasya hari paresha vikarma yats chatpatitam katanshit dunoti sarvam ridi sanivishta. One who has given up everything and taken full shelter at the lotus feet of Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is very dear to Krishna. If he is involved in some sinful activity by accident, the Lord, who is seated within everyone's heart, removes his sins without difficulty. Jnana vairagyani bhaktir kabunahi anga ahimsa yama niyamari bhule Krishna bhakta sangha. The path of speculative knowledge and renunciation is not essential for devotional service. Indeed, good qualities such as nonviolence and control of the mind and senses automatically accompany a devotee of Lord Krishna. Tasman madbhakti yuktasya yogino by mad atmanaha na jnanam na cha vairagyam prayashreyo bhavid iha. For one who is fully engaged in my devotional service, whose mind is fixed on me in bhakti yoga, the path of speculative knowledge and dry renunciation is not very beneficial. Speculative knowledge and dry renunciation. That is. Jnana and vairagya, not essential. For one who is fully engaged in my devotional service, whose mind is fixed on me in bhakti yoga, the path of speculative knowledge, jnana, and dry renunciation, vairagya, is not very beneficial. Etena yadbhuta vyadha tava himsadayo guna hari bhakto pravrittaye nateshu paratapinaha. O hunter, good qualities like non-violence, which you have developed, are not very astounding, for those who are engaged in the Lord's devotional service are never inclined to give pain to others because of envy. Vidhi bhakti sadhanera kahilun vivaran raganuga bhaktir lakana shuna sanatan. My dear Sanatan, I have now in detail described devotional service according to the regulative principles, which is Vidhi Bhakti. Now hear from me about spontaneous devotional service and its characteristics, which is Raganuga Bhakti. Okay. Ragatmika Bhakti Mukhya Braja Vasijane Tara Anugata Bhaktir Raganuga Name. The original inhabitants of Vrindavan are attached to Krishna spontaneously in devotional service. Nothing can compare to such spontaneous devotional service, which is called Ragatmika Bhakti. When a devotee follows in the footsteps of the devotees of Vrindavan, his devotional service is called Raganuga Bhakti. Ishte Sva Rasiki Raga Parama Vishtata Bhavet Tanmayin Ya Bhavet Bhakti Satra Ragatmi Kodita. When one becomes attached to the Supreme Personality of God, his natural inclination to love is fully absorbed in thoughts of the Lord. That is called transcendental attachment, and devotional service according to that attachment is called ragatmika, or spontaneous devotional service. When one becomes attached to the Lord, his natural inclination to love is fully absorbed in thoughts of the Lord. That is called transcendental attachment. And devotional service according to that attachment is called ragatmika, or spontaneous devotional service. Ishte Garad Trishna Ragara Swarupa Lakan Ishta Avishtata E Tathasta Lakana. The primary characteristics of devotional service, the primary characteristic of spontaneous love is deep attachment for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Absorption in thoughts of Him is a marginal characteristic. Ragamayi Bhaktir Hoy Ragatmika Nam Taha Shune Labda Hoy Kona Bhagyavan. Thus, devotional service, which consists of raga, deep attachment, is called ragatmika, spontaneous loving service. If a devotee covets such a position, he is considered to be most fortunate. Labde braja vastra bhave kore anugati shastra yukte nahimane raganugara prakriti. If one follows in the footsteps of the inhabitants of Vrindavan out of such transcendental covetousness, if one follows in the footsteps of the inhabitants of Vrindavan out of such transcendental covetousness, he does not care for the injunctions or reasonings of Shastra. That is the way of spontaneous love. Virajantim abhivyaktam brajabasi janadishu ragatmikam anushrita yasa ragon nu konchate. Devotional service and spontaneous love is vividly expressed and manifested by the inhabitants of Vrindavan. Devotional service that accords with their devotional service is called Raganuga Bhakti, or devotional service following in the wake of spontaneous loving service. Okay, a few more verses. Tattad Bhavari Madhurye Shrute Dir Yad Apekshate Natra Shastram Na Yuktam Cha Tal Labodpati Lakshanyam. When an advanced realized devotee hears about the affairs of the devotees of Vrindavan and the mellows of Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya, he becomes inclined in one of these ways, and his intelligence becomes attracted. Indeed, he begins to covet that particular type of devotion. When such covetousness is awakened, one's intelligence no longer depends on the instructions of Shastra, revealed scripture, or in logic and argument. Bhaya antar ihar dui ta saran Baye Sadaka Dehe Kore Shravana Kirtana Mane Nija Siddha Deho Korea Bhavan Ratri Dine Kore Braje Krishnara Sevana. Can you kind of do something to slow that thing down? It sounds like a hurricane. Push a button that says slow down or how about the other side? Yeah. Okay, just pull the plug. Pull the plug on it. Oh, there. You did it. Oh, good. Jeez. Tatan Bhavani Madhurye Shute Dir Yad Apikshate Natra Shastram Cha Nayuktim Cha Tal Labodpati Lakshanam. When an advanced realized devotee hears about the affairs of the devotees of Vrindavan and the mellows of Shantadasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya, he becomes inclined in one of three ways, and his intelligence becomes attracted. Indeed, he begins to covet that particular. He becomes inclined in one of these ways, not three ways. He becomes inclined to when an advanced realized devotee hears about the affairs of the devotees of Vrindavan and the mellows of Shantadasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya, he becomes inclined in one of these ways, and his intelligence becomes attracted. Indeed, he begins to covet that particular type of devotion. When such covetousness is awakened, one's intelligence no longer depends on the instructions of Shastra, revealed scriptures, or on logic and argument. Baya antar ihar dueta sadhana, baya sadaka dehe kore shravana kirtana, mane nija siddha deho, korea bhavan, ratri dine kore braje, Krishna sevana. There are two processes by which one may execute this Raganuga Bhakti, external and internal. When self-realized, the advanced devotee externally remains like a neophyte and executes all the shastric injunctions, especially those concerning hearing and chanting. But within his mind, in his original purified, self-realized position, he serves Krishna in Vrindavan in his particular way. He serves Krishna 24 hours a day, all day and night. Seva sadaka ruper siddha rupena chatrahi tad bhava lipsuna karya braja lokanu shastrataha. Seva sadaka rupena siddha rupena chatrahi tadbhava lipsuna karya braja lokanu sharataha. The advanced devotee who is inclined to spontaneous loving service should follow the activities of a particular associate of Krishna's in Vrindavan. He should execute service externally as a regulative devotee as well as internally from his self-realized position. Thus he should perform devotional service both externally and internally. Nija Bhishta Krishna Preshta Pachetal Lagiya Nirantara Sevakori Antar Manahaya. Actually, the inhabitants of Vrindavan are very dear to Krishna. If one wants to engage in spontaneous loving service, he must follow the inhabitants of Vrindavan and constantly engaged in devotional service within his mind. Krishnam smaran janam cha, Krishna smaran janam chasya, preshtam nija samihitam, tattad kata ratas chasho kuryad vasam vraje sada. The devotee should always think of Krishna within himself and should choose a very dear devotee who is a servitor of Krishna in Vrindavan. One should constantly engage in topics about that servitor and his loving relationship with Krishna. And one should live in Vrindavan. If one is physically unable to go to Vrindavan, he should mentally live there. Dashasaka Pitrare Praya Siragan Ragamarga Nija Nija Bhavera Ganan. Krishna has many types of devotees. Some are servants, some are friends, some are parents, and some are conjugal lovers. Devotees who are situated in one of these attitudes of spontaneous love, according to their choice, are considered to be on the path of spontaneous loving service. Nakarichin mad para shantarupe nangshanti namem nakarichin mad para shantarupe nangshanti nameni misho Lidiheti yesham aham priya atmasutascha saka guru sudrido daivam ishtam. My dear Mother Devahuti, O emblem of peace, my weapon, the disc of time, never vanquishes those for whom I am very dear, for whom I am the supersoul, son, friend, spiritual master, well-wisher, worshipable deity, and desired goal. Since the devotees are always attached to me, they are never vanquished by the agents of time. Patiputra Surid Bratri Pitri Van Mitravadarim Ye Yanti Sado Yuktas Tebyo Piha Namo Namaha. Let me offer my respectful obeisances again and again to those who always eagerly meditate upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a husband, son, friend, brother, father, or intimate friend. Let me offer my respectful obeisance again and again to those who always eagerly meditate upon the Supreme Lord as a husband, son, friend, brother, father, or intimate friend. Emata kore jeva raganuga bhakti krishnana charane tara upajaya priti. If one engages in spontaneous loving service to the Lord, his affection for the lotus feet of Krishna gradually increases. Priti anukure rati bhava hoy duinam jahoite basha hana Sri Bhagavan. In the seed of affection there is attachment which goes by two names, Rati and Bhava. The Supreme Personality of Godhead comes under the control of such attachments. Jahoite pai Krishna prema sevan aita kahilun abhidheya vivaran. That by which one can attain loving service to the Lord, I have described in detail as the execution of devotional service called abhidheya. Abhidheya sadhana bhakti ebe kohilun sanatan sankepe kohilun vishtarna Jai Varnan. My dear Sanatan, I have briefly described the process of devotional service and practice, which is the means for obtaining love of Krishna. It cannot be described broadly. Abhidheya sadhana bhakti shuni jai jan achirat pai se Krishna premadan. Whoever hears this description of the process of practical devotional service very soon attains shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna in love and affection. Shri Rupa Raghunatha Pade Jara Ash Chaitanya Charitamrita, Kohe Krishnadas, praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishnadas, narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following their footsteps. Thus then the Bhaktivedanta purports to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya-lila, 22nd chapter, describing the execution of devotional service. So, I have some things to attend to, and I'll leave you to wrap up the program, okay? And he can stop the tape.